Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing the performances that the Bucks have gotten out of their bench so far this season. However, before I get too far into it, I would like to remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. I've been appreciating all the support that I've been receiving lately, and I hope to see that continue. Now, without further ado, let's discuss the Bucks bench. So, I decided to make this video after Bobby Portis had an outstanding 21-point effort tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. So that really got me thinking. It seems like the Bucks haven't gotten much production out of their bench at all outside of Portis. So how about I go through and I outline what each of the bench players for the Bucks have done so far this season and discuss what some of my expectations are for them moving forward. So to start this off, let's talk about the one player who has actually been pretty solid for the Bucks off the bench in Bobby Portis. Portis is averaging 10.5 points and 8.1 rebounds on 54, 41, 72% shooting splits so far this season. He is a very dangerous offensive player who's able to score at all three levels. He's a respectable three-point shooter. As I said before, he's shooting 41% so far this season from three. That's only on 2 attempts per game, but he genuinely has really good form when shooting from beyond the arc, and I think that that's probably right around the level of shooter he actually is. Perhaps this has been a bit of a hot start, and he's something more like a 38% shooter from beyond the arc, but I genuinely trust him to hit shots at a high level from there. He's also pretty good in the mid-range, as he both has a good spot-up jumper where he can just rise up over defenders and knock down shots. He does a efficient job of standing in the dunker spot and catching swings. He's a high-level finisher at the rim, and he can rim run on pick and rolls as well. So you're getting a high level of offensive production out of Portis. He's also a really good rebounder, especially on the offensive end, as he has posted a 10.5 offensive rebound percentage so far this season, which is the best on the Bucks, with the possible exception of Giannis, I believe. So he's crashing the glass at a high level on the offensive end, and he's also a very good defensive rebounder as well. He always plays hard, and that allows him to make up for a bit of a smaller size positionally, as he is only a 6'9" center, but he makes up for it in effort and as well as being an excellent offensive player and rebounder. Bobby Portis has been a really reliable option for the Bucks so far this season off the bench, although there have been times where you would look for a bit more offensive output from him in some games that have ended up not going in the Bucks' favor. However, overall, he's had a positive season so far, and as we get further into this bench, you will see that that is not necessarily true for many of these players. Usually the guy who is the next off the bench for the Bucks is DJ Augustine. Augustine has really struggled to score the ball efficiently to start off this season. He's averaging 5.6 points and 2.6 assists on 33, 35, 100% splits. He is 14 for 14 from the line and has shot pretty decent from three so far this season, which are probably the only two redeeming qualities that he has demonstrated so far this year, as he has been extremely inefficient inside the arc, shooting just 33%, as I said before. He is prone to getting a shot blocked because of how small he is, but he's usually been able to make up for that in craftiness. However, so far this season, it just has not worked out for Augustine, and he's really struggled to get anything going on the offensive end of the floor. He has also been a bit more turnover prone than he has in his past seasons, so he'll certainly have to clean that up in order to be the reliable option that the Bucks need him to be off the bench. There is a chance that he is kind of on a downward trajectory, and that his career may have reached its climax during the seasons where he was playing quite well as the starting point guard for the Orlando Magic. However, I still think that there is a little bit here as a floor spacing plus passing backup point guard, and the Bucks certainly are going to need DJ Augustine to be that in order for them to reach their ceiling as a bench group. Pat Connaughton is the next guy here. Connaughton is a guy that I probably rip on more than I should, because he just seems to make some boneheaded plays. He's prone to taking some bad shots, and sometimes he can be out of position defensively, But in general, he's had a pretty excellent start to the season. He's averaging 6 points and 4 rebounds on 46, 49, 100% shooting splits so far this season. 49% from 3 is probably the biggest takeaway for Pat, as that is by far a career high and is almost certainly an outlier. I'm sure that we will see him regress back to the mean, but I don't think that there is a guaranteed chance that he hasn't taken a leap and isn't a 40% shooter. He's not a 49% shooter, but if he can keep shooting at a high level, he's certainly someone that you can trust with some high minute totals in the playoffs, because he also does some things well outside of his offensive game. He has posted a 2% steal rating so far this season, which is pretty good, and he has an excellent 1.7% block rating, which is very, very high for a guard player. He's able to use his athleticism to create some havoc on the defensive end of the floor, and at times that's able to make up for his positional mistakes. He also grabs rebounds at a high level for a guard, posting a 12.2 rebounding percentage so far this season. Pat Connaughton is the only bench player outside of Bobby Portis who has really been reliable for the Bucks so far this season, and I am hopeful that he can continue to knock down shots at the high level that he has, because the Bucks are going to need that kind of production from him once the games start to get important. The next guy here is Bryn Forbes. Bryn is averaging 7 points per game on 41, 60% shooting splits so far this season. Forbes is basically just a sharpshooter. He's not going to give you too much outside of that as the season continues, but he's able to play that role at a solid level. As I said before, he's shooting 41% from 3. He's a knockdown guy on catch and shoot opportunities, and he can also take advantage of some open looks that he's able to get in pick and roll opportunities. He also is a solid screen setter in the inverted pick and roll with Giannis, as he is a very good pick and pop threat in those situations. He's also a good enough shooter that he is able to cause a pause from the Giannis defender, which can give Antetokounmpo the brief second of daylight that he needs to utilize his long strides to get to the rim for a slam dunk. Forbes is a shooter, and he's not going to do much more than that. He's been atrocious defensively, and that is certainly a problem. I'm not sure if he's playable in the playoffs because of his defensive struggles, but the shooting is certainly valuable and something that's going to help this Bucks team win games in the regular season at the very least. The next guy here is Nassir Little. This is probably the worst player who has gotten regular rotation minutes for the Bucks so far this season. Nassir is averaging 2.6 points and 1.9 rebounds on 65, 28, 66% shooting splits so far this year. Nassir plays with a whole lot of energy, similar to Bobby Portis. He is a solid defender for that reason, especially on the ball, as he's been able to go blow for blow with some of the better post players in the NBA because of his strength, athleticism, and effort. However, he isn't the most intelligent player, and he's out of position a lot of time. On the offensive end, he really can't shoot it, and isn't nearly good enough with the ball in hand to be any sort of threat driving to the basket. In transition, he's a good enough athlete to be able to finish at a high level, but that's really the only offensive production you're getting from him. So when he's not bringing the same level of impact on the defensive end of the floor, he's not doing a whole lot for you, and he's not someone that I think can really help this Bucks team in the playoffs. You may be noticing a trend here, as there's a lot of these guys that I don't really think are going to be too useful for the Bucks. The next guy here is Torrence Craig, and I think that he may be a solution for this Bucks team's bench woes. Craig has only appeared in 3 games so far this season, and he hasn't really gotten too many significant minutes prior to tonight's game against the Atlanta Hawks. He played 13 minutes tonight, had 4 points and 2 rebounds, as well as 2 assists on 2 for 3 shooting. He did miss his only 3-point attempt. That is where the question comes with Craig. Is he going to be able to hit threes at a decent enough rate to cause defenders to respect him in the minutes that he plays? Because if he can, he is a good enough player attacking closeouts and defending wing players on the other end of the floor that he can really help this Bucks team out in the playoffs. We've seen him get significant minutes with the Denver Nuggets in postseasons past, and I was very much hopeful that he would be an important piece of this Bucks rotation this year. However, he's missed some time with a nose injury, and ever since he became healthy, Mike Budenholzer has been pretty hesitant to give him minutes. However, I still am holding out some hope that he will gain his footing in Milwaukee and start to get some more playing time, because he is a better player and a more impactful player in general than Bryn Forbes and Nassir Little in my mind. And I'm hopeful that as he continues to grow more accustomed with the Bucks system, he will receive some more minutes. The next guy here is DJ Wilson. Wilson has only appeared in 7 games, as he really lost a lot of Mike Budenholzer's trust after being pretty bad on the defensive end of the floor to start off this season. He averaged 4.3 points and 2.7 rebounds in those 7 appearances and shot 42, 43, 50 splits from the field. Wilson is an intriguing player to me, and he always has been, because of his athleticism and mobility on the perimeter that allows him to guard multiple positions on the defensive end of the floor and be a guy who can be a Swiss Army knife theoretically on the offensive end. However, he's not able to shoot it at a high enough level, and he can't dribble very well either, so he struggles offensively, and on defense he tends to have mental lapses and is not quite strong enough to prevent himself from getting bodied around by bigger players on opposing teams. Because of that, Wilson is probably not a player that can help the Bucks out too much, and it appears that the team's 2016 NBA first round pick, or was it 2017? I can't quite remember. Was a bit of a wasted pick, unfortunately. The next 2 guys here are the rookies from the Bucks. The first one being Jordan Nora, a rookie out of Louisville. Nora has appeared in 8 games. He scored 6 points and grabbed 2 boards in those games, and averaged 50 and shot 50, 50, 90 from the field thus far. Nora is a player that's intriguing to me, and I wish that Budenholzer would give him a bit more run, because I think that his ability to shoot at a very high level and to score at all 3 levels of the court can be very valuable for this Bucks team. And he's someone that I would like to see get a little bit more run out there. I understand he's a rookie, he's not very good defensively, and sometimes his shot decision making is a bit rash, but he can hit shots, and that's something that not many of these Bucks bench players can do outside of Bryn Forbes. So I would not be opposed to giving him a little bit more of a chance and seeing what he can do out there. The last guy here is Sam Merrel. Merrel has appeared in 7 games and averaged 2 points on 50, 67, 100% shooting splits. Merrel is a point guard who can shoot it at a high level, but can't really do a whole lot else at this stage in his career. I don't think that he's going to be very playable as the season goes on, because he is not really able to guard anyone, and on offense isn't much of a threat outside of being a shooter. Obviously, he's a great shooter, and he's someone that the Bucks are hoping will be able to establish himself as a rotational guy by the end of his rookie skill contract. If that doesn't happen, though, this guy was just a second-round pick and someone that you're free to let walk. I'm very high on Sam Merrel, and I'm a believer in him being a rotation piece at some point in his career. Do I think he's ready for that now? Not really. Overall, this Bucks bench is nothing to write home about. Bobby Portis has given them good minutes so far. Pat Connaughton is a streaky shooter, but when he's on, he can really help them. DJ Augustine and Bryn Forbes are hopefully contributors offensively, but can be taken advantage of defensively. Nassir Little and Torrence Craig are a bit of the opposite, as they are good defensively, but don't do a whole lot on offense. DJ Wilson, Jordan Nora, and Sam Merrel all seem to be young guys that aren't quite worthy of receiving important minutes at this stage in their careers. So, what are you getting from this Bucks bench? The answer, outside of Portis, appears to be not much. The Bucks are going to have to look for some more shooting on the buyout market once that stage of the season comes. And I'm very hopeful that they can add a few more pieces off of this bench that can contribute consistently, because at this point, I think that this is a huge Achilles heel for this team and something that we could really see hurt them come playoff time. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Who do you think the Bucks should prioritize giving these bench minutes to? Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. That's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.